Realm of Impossibility, and your goal as a little stick figure man is to run through an assortment of dungeons, avoid the monsters within, find the treasure at the end, and then return to the starting point. Originally released under the name Zombies from Atari 8-bit computers, developed by Mike Edwards and published by his company, BRAM. It was then picked up by Electronic Arts and was expanded with nearly double the amount of levels. Plus, it was given wider distribution on other platforms. The most eye-catching part of Realm of Impossibility is the impossible architecture. Several stages in the game are designed like optical illusions, reminiscent of M.C. Escher's work and other impossible illusions like the Trident or the Impossible Cube, amongst others.
This is Weirded Net rap video by M.C. Escher. Going up the stairs and going down the stairs and going up the stairs and going down the stairs and going up the sideways stairs.
They're disorienting and awesome, and clearly the highlight, but they're not the only place where the game plays around with weird architecture. In this game, you have to infiltrate the dungeons of the cleric Wistrik the Evil to take back the crowns he's stolen from the Middle Kingdom. The dungeons have abstract, boxy designs with minimal details. The stages explore bizarre layouts with complicated vertical movement and bridges, and, as mentioned, geometry that's physically impossible. The game alternates these screens with wide open areas, and the contrast between those two types of rooms help emphasise the towering canvas that the game is working on. The drawback is that from a tiny, slanted perspective with a low resolution, moving through the tight layouts can be difficult. The ladders used throughout the game seem to just be narrow vertical hallways that are sometimes tricky to walk through. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the video, before it was picked up by Electronic Arts, Realm of Impossibility was originally released in 1983 under the name Zombies, and it's clear why it had that title. There are enemies that chase you around the dungeons mindlessly, just like zombies, and they also run distressingly fast. You can control magical scrolls that will freeze or confuse the enemies, but because of how limited the control options are on the Commodore 64 joystick, you need to stand completely still to cast spells. With enemies relentlessly running towards you, that limits how useful magic is. Instead, the best way to avoid monsters is to creatively use the dungeon's strange layouts. You can leave magic crosses on the ground that ward off monsters, and they act like makeshift walls that can block off sections of the mazes. I loved walking into a room with half a dozen elevation levels and mentally mapping out how to barricade monsters and reach the exit. Pair that with the open areas, which are more like being thrown into a pen at the zoo and making a run for it. Many screens have multiple levels, connected via ladders, though there's no platforming of any kind, just running and climbing. The enemies, spiders, orbs, zombies, snakes, aren't particularly smart, as they mostly just make a beeline towards the closest player, but their dumbness also makes them get caught up along the walls and ladders, occasionally making them impossible to avoid if you get stuck. While your life meter is generous, there's no invincibility time when taking damage, so you can just run past and tap an enemy and only lose a point or two, but if you get too close to them for too long, you'll find yourself dead in a matter of seconds. Once you've reached the centre of the dungeon and retrieved the crown or the key, it doesn't end there. You have to escape from the dungeon back the way you came. It puts one final twist on the level architecture that makes you look at it from another angle and map out a new path. Realm of Impossibility can be tricky to play, owing to its odd scale and perspective. It remains interesting even all these years later because of the dungeons, the impossible realms. Of course, visually, there's not really much to differentiate most of the levels, except for the colour scheme, but the level design still needs to be appreciated for what it is. Indeed, the visuals are simple, but the eerie, quick movements of the enemies against the stark backgrounds lends to regular sense of panic. There's no music in the game, just the shuffling of your steps, the sounds of dropped crosses, and the shrieking noise when taking damage, along with a level entry ditty and other minor sound effects. When combined, they create an effective atmosphere for an exciting action game, and one of the classics for the Commodore 64. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and let me know if you agree with me in the comments section. Was this game right up there as one of your favourites, or are you just seeing this for the first time? Also, if you're enjoying the nostalgic memories that these classic Commodore 64 games bring, then do be sure to subscribe to the channel and continue with me on this journey down memory lane. There's loads more games on the various playlists on the channel itself, and more videos coming regularly. Hopefully, you'll jump on board with me as we explore the vast catalogue of games the Commodore 64 had to offer. Hopefully, I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, bye for now.